Hello, everyone. Today, I am doing an episode that I've gotten a lot of requests about, and it's about my time management techniques and the calendaring technique that I've talked about on my social media that I do every single week. And it has changed the game for me. It has allowed me to get so much more done in such a shorter period of time. And this is especially important for me as a business owner, but then after having a kid, this is even more important for me. And by no means do I feel like I've nailed it. I think I'm still working on things. Just adjusting after having a kid has been a lot. So it is by no means perfect, but man, it has been very, very helpful for me to effectively run a business, have a life outside of my business, and be there for my family and have my own time for myself, which is also crucial. So I'm going to explain in detail how I calendar and my time management processes. But I will say before I get into this, it's not lost on me that this probably doesn't apply to most jobs. I am an entrepreneur. I set my own hours. So if you do have the type of job where you have to be there from 8 to 5 p.m. and you're hourly or you're working with patients or whatever it may be, this might look a little different for you. But I do think that you might be able to take some of these tips and apply them into more of your personal life or getting things done around the house or projects or things that have just been on your to-do list. I think that you can apply some of the things that I'm going to talk about into just your life outside of work. So let's get into it. First of all, I tend to have the personality where I get distracted very easily. I tend to look at the new and shiny things, and I want to dig into the new and shiny things all the time. And this is part good for my business and part detrimental. It's good in the sense that a lot of times when I'm researching, I will learn a lot about a lot of different things while I'm researching. Because if you've ever researched, you know that you can go down a rabbit hole in one direction or another, and you can easily get lost and you can easily get down a topic that you did not intend to go. So that happens to me a lot, but I tend to think that that's a good thing because it gives me a wide breadth of knowledge on exercise in general and on health and wellness because I am seeing all these different things. However, when it comes to getting things done and producing, I really do need to manage my time, or else I just have the personality that I'll just never get things done. And how I used to do things was I would just have an endless to-do list running. I think I had a notebook, and I would just continue to add to my to-do list, add things at the bottom of the list, and just get as much as I could done in one day and just cross it off the to-do list and continue to add and cross off and add and cross off. And it was never ending. And I felt like I was working a lot, but not getting anything done. Have you ever felt like that, where you're like, I am spending hours a day working, but at the end of the day, I still don't feel like I produced anything? And oftentimes that's because you are distracted, or at least I was distracted, disjointed. I wasn't actually producing anything. So the first thing I had to do was shift my mindset from working to producing. So I used to just work on getting my to-do list done, get as much done as I could. And now I focus on producing. So producing results at the end of my time block, which I'll talk about here in a moment. I want to have that thing done. And part of this is letting go of a perfectionist mindset about things and allowing things to be your B+ work. I always say B+ work and out the door is so much better than A+ that's never done. And I think this is particularly important for me as a business owner, because since there are so many different things that I'm working on and managing at one given time, if I was super perfectionist about every single thing, I would not get anything done, and I would work, 100 hours every single week. And that's just not feasible for me. So I have to think about, I got to get this done. Even if it's not perfect, it's going to be done and it's going to be out the door. This is exactly what happened today with this podcast. I had a guest scheduled today and she was sick. And so we had to reschedule the podcast. So I had to come up with something for the podcast for next week. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do time management. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. And I spent 20 minutes kind of just like writing out notes of what I wanted to talk to you all about. Is it going to be the best podcast I've ever put out? Probably not, but it's a B+. It's done. It's out the door. I'm here. Like I said, I was going to be recording a podcast. Like I said, I was going to for next week. This is really important if you're a business owner because it allows you to be consistent and consistently put out content. So that's kind of the mindset shift that I had to make going into this. What I do is I took a calendaring technique that I learned from the Life Coach School, which is the coaching membership that I am a part of. Unfortunately, they're shutting down this year, so you can't join anymore. But I did learn this technique from the Life Coach School. Credit to them. I've adjusted it a little bit to make it my own. They call it Monday Hour 1. I call it Sunday for 4 hours. So here's what I do. Every Sunday, and sometimes it's not Sunday, sometimes if I have time on Saturday or even Friday afternoon, I'll do this. But most of the time it's on Sunday. I spend about 4 hours every Sunday. I consider Sunday a working day, or at least half a working day, to plan my week. And these are the most important 4 hours of my week because I am writing out everything that's important. I am deciding what's not important and taking it off the list. I'm planning, I'm researching, I'm planning the topics that I want to talk about on the podcast. I'm doing some preliminary research for the podcast. I am planning my Instagram content. I am looking through what Instagram content are people resonating with. Okay, I'm going to do more of that. So I'm kind of researching what I need to produce for my Instagram. I am looking at what we have to do for Evlo in the given week or in the given quarter or month or whatever it is. And I am planning and I'm writing everything down on our meeting agenda. I am looking at what are the personal things that I need to get done this week. Okay, I'm going on a trip. I need to leave room on my schedule to pack. Liv has a doctor's appointment, so I need to make sure I adjust things around. Or I know that I want to leave time on Thursday morning for a long walk with my family or whatever it is. I'm looking at the whole week and I'm writing down every single thing that I need to get done in that week, both personal and professional. So I open a blank document and I write out every single thing that needs to get done. And what I do is I look at my calendar. I just use Google Calendar. I look at my calendar for the week and I slowly put in time blocks of every single thing on that list. I put the most important things in first. So the most important things for me, they're family things first. So those things go into my calendar, an empty calendar. I just put in the family things that I need to get done. And then after that, I'll put in the most important things for Evlo that needs to get done. Usually the most important things for Evlo are the classes that I'm teaching for the membership. Podcast content, I tend to prioritize. I love the podcast and I just think that it helps keep me sharp and helps educate the audience. And then my Instagram content. So those are the 3 most important things that I have to do during the week. So I put those things in first and I put them in the time of day that I'm the most fresh. Usually I'm the most fresh in the mornings. So I tend to teach in the mornings and then I tend to do my Instagram content and my podcast content in the mornings. And then inevitably there's things each week that I have to do administratively, or if I'm researching more heavily for a solo podcast like I did this week and last week. Lots of other random things, meetings or things with our developer that we have to talk about, whatever it might be. I put those things in the afternoon. So by the end of this kind of 4-hour block on Sunday, I have my week scheduled and everything is time blocked. So I'll time block an hour for podcast recording, 45 minutes for planning and teaching my class, an hour for filming Instagram content, editing, and posting. And what this does is that instead of just having an endless to-do list, I have my calendar and I have how long every single thing is going to take me. Now, how do I know how long everything is going to take me? Number one, there's some historical context. I know, okay, a class start to finish with prepping time for the class, getting all the equipment ready. That usually takes me about 45 minutes. Okay, so I know I can put in 45 minutes. And then there's other things that I maybe don't have the context of how long it's going to take me. If it's something new that I'm working on, or if it's something that I just don't have a lot of information about, I tend to put in like an hour and a half. And I just tell myself, I'm going to do everything I can to finish that within the time that I've allowed myself. Now, what this does is it makes you work really focused. One of the things that my friends tend to complain about, but they also know how I am, is during the workday, I'm not answering text messages about, from friends, or I'm not checking my email constantly. I'm not always like in my DMs. I block out all of that so that I can really focus on what I'm doing and try to get it done within the amount of time that I've allowed myself. And so by time blocking and giving yourself a limited amount of time for each task, this allows you to really hunker down and focus and get it done. And for me, this has been game changing because it allows me to get so much done in a shorter period of time. What I also do is I leave empty spots on my calendar each week. These empty spots are for things that just inevitably come up. Again, as a business owner, things just come up and you have to get them done. So a lot of times I'll just have empty space on my calendar. So if something comes up during the week, I can put it in that empty space. Another thing that we do every single week is we have our team meetings on Mondays. And these team meetings, we dedicate an hour to an hour and a half to really talk about what we have for the upcoming week and what each of us needs to do to accomplish the tasks on our to-do list. And so I will leave open time on Sunday when I'm doing my calendaring. I leave open time with the idea that things are going to come up during that Monday meeting from our team that I need to put on my calendar. So I leave open time so that I can put like, okay, I got to go reach out to this person, or I've got this meeting that I didn't know of on Sunday that needs to go in this day. So I leave a little bit of open time throughout my days. Not a lot. I try to leave maybe 30 minutes to an hour open time each day so that I can have time for things that just kind of come up. I try not to let things overflow. So I try not to take longer on things that I've time blocked into my calendar. This does not always happen. It's not perfect, but that also allows kind of that empty time throughout my week where I can kind of do some overflow tasks that I didn't finish in the time that I allotted for myself. If I don't finish everything that I needed to get done during the day, I will work at nights. And this, I'm trying to get better about this. It maybe only happens like a couple times a week, but I'll work at night after Liv is down and I'll get something done. Now, nighttime tends to be the time where my brain isn't the most crisp. So again, it's motivation for me to get my stuff done in the time that I've allowed myself so that I can just relax after I put Liv down and I don't have to go back to work. So that has really been important for me to just look at my list, and my team knows I just grind. I go as fast as I can and I get everything done. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm being sloppy. I still try to do things with a high degree of effort and precision, but a lot of times it's not my A++ work, but at least I'm getting it done and I'm getting it out the door. If there is something that comes up during the week that isn't on my calendar, but is important, I will do it in the blank space if I have blank space again, or I'll have to do it at night if I need to, or I will just put it, if it's not urgent, I'll put it on next week's calendar. So what I do is I always have, the next week is usually blank aside from like meetings and other things that have been planned in advance, but I'll put like a this week little like tab and I'll just write, I need to get this done or this done or this done. And then I'll just put it on next week's calendar so that I'm not worried about it this week and it's not distracting me in the current moment. And this has been really helpful for me because again, it's not just like an endless to-do list. It's like, okay, I'm putting this on this week. It's going to get time blocked into next week because I don't have time for it this week. Okay, I feel like this is a little bit of a stream of consciousness, but just to summarize, here's what I do. I do a calendaring time blocking technique where I spend about 4 hours at the beginning of the week on, usually I do it on Sundays or sometimes I'll do it on Friday afternoons if I have time. And I really take my time to think about everything that I need to get done for the week. I write it all out. And again, I take some things that maybe I pulled from last week that either didn't get done or things that I thought of last week that I pushed to the current week. I'll write out everything. I'll time block in the most important things first, and I'll time block in the things that I need to do for work earlier in the day that are the most important things, because that's when I'm the crispest and I have the most energy. I also color code things. So certain things like meetings are yellow, teaching is blue, administrative tasks are purple. things like that. So I can kind of see at a glance what I have on my calendar. And this helps me know like, okay, I need to be my crispest for this podcast interview. So I'm not going to put something that would require a lot of brain power for me before this interview or something like that. I time block every single thing. So I estimate about how much time it'll take me and I put that in. So a day looks like, 45 minutes for teaching, an hour for content, an hour for a meeting, and 30 minutes for emails and messages on Instagram or whatever. And the whole day is time blocked out from the time I have my first thing to do for the day until the time that my commitments are up. So this has been game changing for me. You can do this as little or as much as you want. I used to time block even more of my personal time. And what I realized with having a baby is that I like to have just a little bit more free time and just open space in my calendar. I used to time block like literally 2 hours of free time to do whatever I wanted, or 30 minutes for a walk and 30 minutes to cook dinner and 30 minutes to read a book or whatever it might be. And I haven't done that recently. I just kind of leave open space, and that's kind of what's working for me right now. But this process, although it sounds really rigid, it has really allowed me to not think about what I have to do next. It takes out all the decision fatigue. So the day before, I just look at my calendar for the next day and I just say, oh, okay, mentally, here's the things I have to do for the next day. I already have everything planned out. Everything is time blocked and I can get done what I need to get done. And then I can go home and just enjoy my family or whatever it is. So hopefully this was inspiring to you and helpful to you. It works really, really well for me. I think it works for a lot of people that tend to get really distracted and ADD. This was fun. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Bye for now.